Hey everyone, how are you all doing? I know don't normally do this many lives, in this space of time, but I figured it's not an ordinary time, right? As always, I never remember. I always say, let me know if you're here live. Let me know in the comments. Facebook doesn't always let me know. So if you're joining me live, say hey. And if you catch the replay, as always, leave me a little hashtag replay in the comments. Ellen's joined us. Hey Ellen, how are you doing? So today I want to talk to you all about something that keeps coming up. I've taken a lot more strategy sessions recently, and I have a little pre-call form before you can book your call. So it's just, like, what are you working on? What are your goals? What's stopping you? That kind of thing. And it's always the same kind of answer for the last question. And it's usually, I need a producer, but I don't know how to get one, or I don't know how to reach out to one, or I don't know where to find the right kind of producer. And so I want to have like a whole big producers chat. And I was going to do this next week, but I've just come off of a call with the brilliant Alex LeMay, and we were kind of not lamenting, but catching up and talking about how producers, like the kind of mistakes that we see from the perspective of a producer, from a creative producer. So grab a cup of tea, let me know in the comments who's here, and yeah, let me know as well. I want to know what you guys think about, like if I said film producer, like what's the first thing that comes to mind? Because I think producers tend to get like short shrift at all levels of the industry. If you look like right up at the big levels, producers are often seen as like money grabbing, suits. I don't know. You can come up with your own thing. But at the kind of indie filmmaker level, there is this weird kind of perception where it's like producers are more like sorting machines. You put a script in one side of a producer and funding comes out the other side. And so there's this whole weird kind of divide and grey area on what producers do, who needs a producer, when you should get a producer on board, how to actually get a producer on board, all of this stuff. So we're going to get into it today. So let me know in the comments, what's your main like producing question? What do you think about for producers? So the key thing is knowing exactly when is the right time to go out and start attaching a producer to your project. If you do it too early, then your project will not be strong enough and you're going to hear a lot more no's. If you do it too late, then you're going to really struggle to actually get anything done. This is another thing I've noticed for indie filmmakers. It often feels like, okay, I need to do the marketing, I need to get the funding, I need to get the actors, I need to get the director, or I need to get the writer, like all of this stuff. And it's like, dude, that's what the producer does. Like, that's our entire job. Don't put all of that work onto yourself by saying like you need to go out and get funding. Unless you're producing this project yourself, that's not your responsibility. So knowing when to go out and do it is really the first key step that you need to be able to take by yourself. So you need to make sure that your project is strong enough. Ideally, you have a script that you've had feedback on, not just from friends and family, but from other people in the industry. You've gotten it to a point where it is strong enough that someone can read it and have a really strong sense of not just what the story is, who the characters are, but who's going to actually watch this and then who's going to pay for it. This is really the key thing for any script, is who's going to watch it and who's going to pay for it. And if you can't answer those questions, then you probably need another script. Realistically, I hate to be like harsh about it, or I don't know, just not beat around the bush, but honestly, if you can't answer those questions, then you really need to go back and do some proper digging into your idea and your script, and don't go to a producer until you have those answers. So once if you feel like you've gotten to a point of your script is ready, you've had feedback on it, you're ready to go out and start making it, get funding, get cast, get whoever else you need, get production dates locked in, get a distribution deal, all of this stuff. That is when you need to go out and get yourself a producer, because that is the stuff you cannot do yourself. And I've had quite a few calls from people who weren't sure why they were struggling to get funding, and I said, okay, who's your producer? And they said, I don't have one. And I said, oh, okay, are you producing this yourself as well? And they went, oh, I don't know, I mean, I wrote it and I'm going to direct it. And that is why you need a producer. The producer is not just there to put in the funding applications. It works both ways. So someone reading that funding application knows that a producer is going to be the person who is on top of the budget, is on top of the funding. And if you don't have someone with at least some kind of experience in some role as a producer or related to a producer, that's probably why you're struggling to get funding. You're not likely to get funding without getting a producer first. And if these places don't tend to give you a lot of feedback, but if they did, the first thing they're going to say is, okay, you need to add a producer to your team. So it's about knowing exactly when you're ready and having the courage to go out and start approaching these producers in the right way. And in very simple terms, the wrong way is going out and hiding behind your idea. So if you're a writer or director or any kind of variation of the two, I know how easy it is when you send out an email to someone you want to work with. It's so easy to just hide behind that idea. All the information you give in that first email is all about the idea. And it's completely the wrong way to do it. Personally, I won't really respond to emails like that because I have nothing really to respond to. So what you need to do in that first email, and I have to really clarify this. When I say be direct and to the point, I don't mean be short. I don't mean skip on all of the relevant information. I've seen a lot of emails like that, and I said, why haven't you padded out this a little bit? And the answer is always, oh, I didn't want to take up too much of your time. And that's very thoughtful, but it's not the right way to do it. The right way to do it is to give enough information whilst also being direct. So you need to make sure that you're not just hiding behind your idea. You're not just giving them the log line and then a paragraph summary. That's not the information that they need. It doesn't answer those key questions of who's going to watch it and who's going to pay for it. And they have no context for this idea. Often if you're hiding behind your idea, you might even forget to mention whether it's a short film, a feature film, a series, a documentary. And this is why you do have to be able to take a minute and just get up enough of the courage to step out from your idea. You have to be able to show up in that first email alongside your project idea, because they need to know who it is they're going to be working with. They're not just picking up the idea. As Alex said on the call I had with him just now, we're not just picking up these projects, we're picking up more work. So you need to be able to make sure in that very first email that you're giving them all of the information that they need with enough context and enough reason for why someone would pick up more work. If I said to you, I need you to write this script, here's a quick log line, realistically, you're not going to have the greatest reaction to it because you're like, well, why should I write this script? What does this have anything to do with me? And so this is the big mistake that indie filmmakers keep making. You have to be able to step out from behind your idea and think about it from that producer's perspective. What are they looking for? They need to know why it is that you're emailing them specifically. Again, Alex and I were talking about how we get these odd kind of messages from people who are making sci-fi horror films, and neither Alex or I make those kind of films. And we have to say, look, I'm sure your idea is fine, but if you'd taken even 10 seconds to just do a little bit of research, you would know that emailing me is a complete waste of time, because I'm never going to pick up your project. Not because it is bad or because I think you're a bad filmmaker, but because it is not something that I want to make. And so when you're emailing these producers, you need to think about it from their perspective. And you need to be able to say to them why you've emailed them specifically. So is it because they produced a film that's in the same genre as your idea? Is it because they've handled similar budgets to what your film is going to end up being? Is it because they have experience with, I don't know, fire stunts? Off the top of my head, how is it related to your film and your idea and you as a filmmaker? So that very first email, you need to make sure you tell them who you are, crucially. If I had £1 for every email that I had from a writer who would not give his name, not tell me that he's a writer, I'd be very rich right now. And it means that all that really happens, if you think about it from that perspective, imagine if you got an email in your inbox that was just, hi, I got your email from so-and-so, I'm working on this, and then you give the log line. There is no context for that. And there is no specific reason why you would take time out of your day to read the treatment, read the script, reply to the email, anything along those lines. Film is a very fast world. Even now, in the middle of coronavirus, it's still a fast world. So you need to make sure that you're including the right information so that they will actually read your script and reply to you. So step out from behind your idea, tell them who you are, tell them why it is that you're emailing them, tell them what it is that you make, what films do you really want to make. If you were in the masterclass series last week, we spent quite a bit of time thinking about who you really are as a creative. What are the stories that you want to be known for? That's what you have to lead with, because that's going to be the most important thing. It's not going to be that you have a finished script that you have feedback on, because there are so many other people like that. You need to show them why you are different from everyone else. And it's not about doing it in a kind of wild, flashy way, like, don't worry about it, because everyone is automatically different from everyone else. You just need to make sure you put that in the email. And don't let the information be sacrificed by thinking, oh, I know they're really busy, like, I'm just going to cut this email down so it's really fast to read. No. Because all that's going to happen is you're not going to include the information that they need in order to make an informed decision about you and your film. You're not going to get your scripts read, and you're not going to get a reply to it. So, let me know in the comments what you, how you normally approach producers. What's your kind of strategy for it, and what's your main question about producers or producing? What do you want to know? All right. Ellen, I'm not sure if Ellen's still here. Carrie's just joined us. Hey Carrie, how are you doing? As always, let me know in the comments, because I'm kind of blind here. Facebook never really tells me who's here, so I have no idea who I'm talking to currently. Yeah, let me know, what is your main question about producers? Have you ever emailed a producer and not heard anything back? Have you not even had your script yet read yet? Let me know. Let me know how you found it. But really, all you need to do is make sure that you have your script at the right place. It's not like draft 2, but then it's not so overworked, that it's kind of impossible to read. And just send contextual emails. Seriously, don't send out random log lines, random, all of that stuff. It's not constructive. It's not going to get you anywhere fast. And if anything, it means that they're not likely to want to hear from you again. And I don't like being harsh or kind of, I don't know, depressing about this, but I cannot tell you how many terrible emails I have been sent, and other producers I know have been sent. And so I figured, we'll just nip this in the bud. I could kind of take a little bit longer to explain all of this, but realistically, it's quite simple. Make sure your script is at the right point. make sure you have enough email information and context in your email, and that's it. That's it. AC says, is emailing producers agents any use? It depends on what context. Like, do you have a script ready? Is it just idea stage? Like, yeah, give me some more info on that. The reason producers have agents is they are the gatekeepers. It's so that they don't have to field all of the random emails themselves. So definitely going through an agent is great, but they will ask very specific information from you. In the same way that if you go to any agent, if you go to an agent for an actor, they're going to have very specific questions. What's the budget? Why are you approaching this particular actor? What's in it for them? When are you shooting? Who have you got attached as director, cast, all that kind of thing? Do you have distribution yet? Very specific questions. So, I mean, if you want a specific producer and they have an agent, then yeah, go for it. But you do also need to know why you're contacting that producer specifically. AC says, I have a script, logline, etc. Okay, so I'm going to assume that the etc. is like a treatment and a creative proposal. Again, what state is your script at? Is it first draft? Have you gotten feedback on it yet? Let me know. Again, it's just about knowing that your script is at the right stage, and after you've been doing it for a little while, you do get a sense of, yeah, my script is ready, but never underestimate how useful that feedback you can get can be. Logline, etc. I'm thinking about this. I mean, if you have all of the materials and it's all at a strong enough stage, then yes, definitely go to the agent. The reason that producer is paying the agent is to field all of these emails, so make use of that agent. Agents do tend to be notoriously difficult to get through, but that's just because that's their job. They're there to protect their client. So you need to make sure you have a strong enough offer when you're going to them. And again, don't underestimate how useful the personal approach can be. If they produce a film that you loved, and that's the reason that they're on your list and that's why you're emailing them, then make sure you include that. A good thing you can do is just put them all in a spreadsheet. I have spreadsheets for different projects. So every project I have has different sections of executive producers, financiers, sales agents, distributors, writers, directors, whoever it is that I really need on board. And I just go through IMDb and I look through films that are similar to my idea and my script. I find the producers and I just add them to the... What is that word that I've just forgotten? Spreadsheet. That's the word I'd forgotten. It's been a long day, can you guys tell? But yeah, I add all of that information to the spreadsheet. I then go through when I know I'm at the right stage to start contacting these people. I just go through and I email them and I say, I'm emailing because this project is at this stage. I know you produced this film and the films from this film are very similar to this, so I wondered if you're interested in doing this one as well. I'm free for coffee, like whenever. Obviously that's pre-corona. I'm free to have a Zoom call now, is the new ending to the email. But yeah, AC hasn't got back to me yet, I don't think. Oh no, hold on, he did. It didn't update. How do you get hold of producers' contact details? No, it's all fully formed, final draft. Mine's always joined us as well. Okay, get hold of producers' contact details. Again, it depends. It's not like there's no global database, unfortunately. So you just need to, again, it's like IMDb Pro is often the best way to do it, but usually a producer will have their own production company and you can go through whichever public email they have there. That's a good way to do it. Again, it depends. Is it a feature film? Is it a short film? If they're short film producers, there is a good chance they will be in Facebook groups, or on Facebook. I'm on Facebook, I get a lot of messages. Again, it's not the most professional way to do it. The best way to do it is find their production company and go through that. You know, there's usually like an info email address. He says, no, it's all fully formed at final draft. Okay, so fully formed, as in like your script is like production ready, as in like, you know, if someone gave you a camera and some actors, you're like good to go. Okay, that's fine. That's a good stage to start going to producers, but you do have to bear in mind that the producer will read it and usually require some kind of rewrites. So again, you know, this comes back to what I said earlier in kind of like the indie film perspective of, you know, you put a script in one side of a producer and funding comes out of the other. That's not really how producers work, and it's often the main reason why a lot of emails don't get read and why a lot of projects don't get picked up. You know, a producer is there to really collaborate with you on your project, and so they will read your script, they will have thoughts on your script, they may require rewrites. You know, you need to make sure that you're open to that. There are some producers that do work with, you know, like auteurs, you know, Tarantino, Scorsese, like all of those big people, those people that have real, like, full creative control over their projects. Those producers won't really get involved just because that's not how those directors work. But I mean, unless you are Tarantino or Scorsese, that's not really an opportunity you're going to get yet. So just be aware, you know, if you're going to an agent and you say the script is at final draft, that's another kind of like red flag that agents will pick up on. Again, they really are the gatekeepers. So it's just about knowing how to get through those gates. Andy's just joined us. All right. So yeah, quick recap for anyone that's just joined us, like Andy and mine. You need to make sure your project is at the right stage. You know, you need to have had feedback on your script. You need to make sure that you're putting in enough of the right information in the email. You know, don't hide behind your idea. You know, introduce yourself, introduce the kind of films that you make first. Remember, this is a person-to-person interaction. And then you can go into the details about what you're working on. But the key questions for any producer, as Alison Owen put it, this isn't mine, but it's what I live by, you know, who's going to watch it and who's going to pay for it. And you need to be able to give them that information in order for them to have a fully formed idea of what it is that your project is going to end up being and whether that's something they want to get involved with or not. So, let me know. Again, this is, you know, quite a big question that kept coming up, so I wanted to jump on, but I did have to nip like a lot of things in the bud, so sorry for being a bit like serious and slightly down on everything, but I would much rather you have to sit through like a 30-minute live video where I'm not like happy and jolly about the whole thing, but you actually get something useful out of it, rather than carry on making the same mistakes and not get your scripts read, not get replies, not get projects picked up. Because, like I said right at the beginning, you're not really going to get funding for your project until you have a producer attached. And you could write, direct, and produce yourself if you want, but it's a really hard thing to do, and it's often quite difficult to get any kind of funding if that's what you're doing. Unless you're going through a private investor that knows you very well and trusts you to do all of that, you know, in which case you're going to need already established links with a private investor. If you don't have that, then you're going to need to go through other options for funding, which means you're going to need a producer. So again, I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I keep seeing, because I don't want you sitting here in like 2 years' time with the same project at the same state. And that sounds kind of miserable and unrealistic, but I've seen it happen so many times, And, you know, that's not how anyone's career should pan out. Yeah, so as always, I am around in the comments. Ask me any producer related questions, and I will talk to you very soon.